Now we're good. Upcoming releases. We are focused right now. We got in about 2 years ago and realized the importance of having the native mobility solution. We're building it now, and we're doing a good job. We've got our limited resources, but we're at the ActiveSync 2.5 protocol currently, and we are moving up every day. We've been working closely with Paul, who's been a great help and a great partner, letting us know what to get to, as we also have been surveying, and I'm sending out a survey around what features are demanded next. We have a wonderful new team that we've adopted an agile model, and we've had a lot of successes working directly with our customers and partners in feature development. So by all means, if you, as you see my email here, all those on the call, feel free to shoot me emails. Let me know what you and your customers want, what you're seeing, problems you're having, and solutions you want, and then that's exactly what we'll focus on. So in 2011 beyond, the very next thing you're going to see in these upcoming releases, we'll move to slide 4, and you can get a quick overview of how it works. We have a DataSync engine, and this is what differentiates us from the other models. We're not just... Okay, so you want to get forward. Yeah, go ahead. So if we're not just the mobility, but we also have an engine that allows for a hub-and-spoke model of third parties to come in and connect. What I wish I had here is that at novell.com/marketplace, we already have nearly a dozen connectors that come in. We have a SharePoint connector that allows SharePoint and Groupwise to synchronize data, Salesforce.com, Sugar CRM. We have a partner, InterExperts, that's done an MS Dynamics. We have a Twitter connector coming out from a NovaCoast partner. We have what we're going to focus on today in Paul's NotifyMDM solution and several others that connect in. So it's not merely limited to mobility, but that's one of the connectors that we have used to come into Groupwise. So as you look at these features, all these are merely feature boxes. We're still going through the evolution of taking a wonderfully traditional company, and they're being great in supporting our new agile development model. So roadmaps like this are going to become part of the past very soon here, and they'll become a list of features. And you'll see our backlog just as I see it, and then hopefully our customers and partners will drive the demand of that backlog. So right here, we have separated the engine features from the mobility features, but they're being developed by the same team, and so they'll come in the order that they're demanded. Moving on, the mobility pack. We have planned for 3 or 4 releases this year, Fox coming at the end of year or early next year. So that's why I say 3 or 4, because it's supposed to be end of Q4 calendar. Right now, our major focus that you'll see is HTML. Right now, we just delivered Chinook, and on slide 8, you'll see what's in there. We had some usability, functionality, and folder select, which we love because at this point, it allows for a type, not exactly, but a type of selective kill pill, if you will. Instead of going in and wiping an entire device, you can go in and select and or deselect which folders, email folders, calendar folders, excuse me, that you want to see on your device. And just like the kill pill, it requires the device to come in. So as soon as that device comes in, those folders will be added or taken off of the device. So if you have members that leave a team or that leave the organization, you don't have to wipe their entire phone of sensitive data. You can merely pull off the email folders. You have an authentication module that we opened up. This is actually one of our wonderful one-off projects with a customer who needed a specialized authentication for Groupwise authentication. And after they tested it with us and helped us build it, we added it to the product as a whole. So now you can also use Groupwise to authenticate as well as LDAP. Now, beyond that, we are still working with additional features on top around password policies and password expiry dates and things like that. And that's also wonderful feedback around. So that was Chinook. That was the last, what I believe we called 1.1. And now we have 1.2. So on slide 10, you'll see Delaware. That's just our code name for our next major release. We are pushing out, and I want to emphasize that we push out updates every 6 to 8 weeks. When I say Delaware, all that means is once we hit that final sprint of features, we'll tag it Delaware and push it out as quote-unquote a major release. But in all reality, all it will be is the final step in those features. So we very well expect to have HTML functionality on the iOS devices and other selective devices before we have HTML for everything, but we're not going to make our customers wait for that. We know we have entire shops that are Android and iOS, and so we'll get them that code as soon as they want it. Beyond that, the quality enhancements for Delaware, we're going to focus on monitoring as well as calendaring and reliability. So that's going to be Delaware. Now, beyond that, we have ENU, which has placeholders. Whatever the demand drives, that's what's going to be there. We know where we want to take it, and we have the Active Sync protocol, and Paul has a great model and roadmap of where we're going for that functionality. But tied in with the engine as a whole, we have additional visions. So anytime demand comes in and change that, for instance, HTML pushed out another feature that was originally supposed to come first. And right now, the greatest thing is that we have shared items. Public folders seem to be the top of the list, which is great. It lets us know what customers want, even though the ActiveSync protocol doesn't even support that, but it lets us know if that's so important, is there a way that we can work around that? So I and my team are actually researching certain options to see if we can make that available to our customer base, and that'd be great. It would differentiate us even further from other products in the mobility sphere, and it'd be great. So please keep giving that feedback. Beyond that, that's about all I wanted to go over as far as mobility and data synchronizer. And what we have now is great. We have ActiveSync 2.5. We're getting HTML. We're getting the features that are demanded. And for anything above and beyond that protocol is why Paul's here in the room with me today. We've had a great partnership. We're rebuilding and revamping here and strengthening every day. It's great. And anything above and beyond, Paul has already been there. He's been there for a long time, too. So trust me when I say that if I got questions, I go to Paul first. And it's been great. So his NotifyMDM, mobile device management, is something that we are rolling out in-house here, on my team at least, and we're working on rolling out on a broader scale as well. So I'm going to pass the time over to Paul and let him take us through his NotifyMDM product.
Thanks, Bryce. I've been looking at the chat board there. Are people having trouble with slides and advancing slides? Q, do you know what we can do to maybe help that out? I put my deck up, and
yeah.
Are my slides? Bryce's weren't advancing on mine either, but mine seem to be advancing. Okay.
Yours are. Yours are working fine.
Let me get started for everybody. I see we got a nice crowd out there. Bryce, thank you. We've been doing the best we can to help Bryce and the team with ActiveSync, things that are coming up. It's probably one of the most fluid, dynamic markets out there, keeping your eye on everything that's going on. A lot of you know a little bit about us. We're a 16-year-old company. We've been doing mobility for over 10 years. We started way back with Groupwise 5.5 with our NotifyLink product. Since then, we've created a couple of new products, NotifySync for BlackBerry. I'll spend a minute or so on that. Right now, we're going to spend a little bit of time and go through and tell you a little bit about our NotifyMDM product. We spend a lot of time with devices, as you can tell. We've been a device-agnostic company for almost 10 years, and we are a licensee of the ActiveSync technology from Microsoft. Well, let me tell you, let's start with our MDM product. The product is designed to work with Novell's Groupwise Data Synchronizer. This is key. Our earlier product, NotifyLink, directly connected to Groupwise. Here we rely on the data synchronizer. We are a big advocate of ActiveSync. We believe it is de facto standard out there. We believe what Novell is doing is absolutely right on, and we are here to support them as they move forward with ActiveSync, trying to help them out. We all went through the same learning curve with ActiveSync. Our NotifyMDM product is what we call a pure play product. It relies on the fact that the email and PIM synchronization is going to be done by Novell's data synchronizer. And we do have a client, a thin client on the device that's used really to get you more information than what you could with ActiveSync. And the product is available as an on-premise as well as an on-demand solution. We are really targeting a very broad market for this product. We are we want to have appeal to the SMB, to the small user. We don't want them to feel that they're not part of being able to have device management because they don't have hundreds or thousands of devices. And we think our cloud solution is really a great solution for people in the SMB marketplace. So what is MDM? I think all of you may have your own definition of what you would like to see in mobile device management. It clearly is an evolving thing, but we've kind of broke it down here into 8 elements. The first one is just, and I'm going to give you, I'm going to go through these, and then I'm going to give you some screenshots of exactly how this is performed. So the first one, centralized management, monitoring, dashboard. Here it's really visibility focused on your devices. Most of the email platforms that provide the ActiveSync connectivity really are not trying to become mobile device management platforms. They're giving you a way to connect in. We're going to give you that piece that allows you really to view those devices, dig into the, what's happening on the device, what the device is doing, to the degree of, putting policies on the device, providing a level of security that may vary. Some of you will have very specific security requirements. Others of you may have very mild security requirements. What I think we've done right in the product is we've made it easy for both groups to be able to get up and running. We collect a bunch of real-time information on the device. This can be used with your support group, your help desk, things like user roaming, how's the battery, how's the free memory. I'll go through a more exhaustive list of things that we're capturing off of the device. Application management is a big area. By no means have we got it all figured out. What we do today is allow you to define a set of approved applications. We push that list down to the device, and that coupled with a good corporate policy about mobile devices, I think is going to be the best way to deal with this. In time, we'll be able to do more sophisticated management of being able to determine what's down there and then send the end user a message saying, hey, you downloaded something that's not authorized, you need to get it off your device. Asset tracking, location. Here's where you get in an area where companies have come to us and said, gee, we would like to get our arms around what's out there, the device type, the model numbers, the IMEI numbers, depending upon whether they're corporate-owned or employee-owned. Will depend on how much they want to track or how they want to track it. That information will be available for you to provide reports on the devices, the types, the model, what kind of software is running on them, things like that. Location, this is kind of an interesting issue, or feature, I should say. Here's where you get into the being able to track a device, or possibly, I would like to think it can be used in a positive way of maybe finding a device. You've lost your device, where could it be? Alert notification and report generation. This is where you set thresholds, you get alerts. For example, if someone has jailbroken a device or rooted a device, being able to have that alert come up to the dashboard and then for you to determine whether you want to take action on it or not. Being able to provide reports, we basically use the SQL Server as our database, and what reports we provide, a capability to extract the data. I mean, if you know how to write queries into the database, you'll be able to do anything you want to do with the data that's in there. End user self-service portal. We designed this so that a lot of the everyday type features that an end user might want to do or perform, maybe in off hours, this kind of will help take some of the load off of internal support or needing support. One of the trends we see is that as companies are opening up the door to employees, they don't want to also have to open up the door to increased costs of support. And so there's been a tremendous amount of interest in, what kinds of things can the users do themselves. And we'll go in and we'll show you what those are. And then last but not least is being able to offer the product on-premise or on demand in the cloud. We also have a multi-tenant version of our product for partners, people that are, reselling email or providing managed services. If they want to offer MDM to their customers, we have a program of which they can do that. Okay, from a device standpoint, we pretty much are, embracing the whole gambit of platform devices. The Apple iOS platform, which gives you the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod. BlackBerry. Now, with BlackBerry, there are a couple of caveats here. One is we have a product called NotifySync. It provides active sync connectivity for a BlackBerry. If you're using that product, then we're able to manage the BlackBerry. If you're on a BES, then these platforms, you'll use the BES to manage your BlackBerry. You would use NotifyMDM to manage all the rest of your devices. I encourage you that, for those of you that do not have a lot of users on your BES, to take a look at the NotifySync product. It's quite amazing in its functionality. It's very simple to install and use, and basically it does not require a BES. It provides a direct connect into the data synchronizer, and that coupled with our MDM product will, I think if anything, simplify your life in having all your devices come in active sync and then have them all managed by one platform. That's very appealing to some organizations. A final note is that we support on the Android platform. Some of you have heard about a client called Touchdown. We very much support the NitroDesk Touchdown client with our link and our MDM product. We think that there is functionality that Touchdown will give you that you don't get with a native Android device. It also allows a common base of support. You're going to see some announcements from us in the future showing some advanced capabilities that are coming out with Touchdown and how we're going to integrate those into our MDM package for greater security and manageability of Android devices. For those of you that don't need that, we provide native management for Androids running 2.2 and above. This is an architecture. This is very simple. I think the concept here, or the point I want to get across, is that today, if you're using the data synchronizer, you would be connecting your devices directly to it. Okay. Now, if you're interested in mobile device management, you're going to insert the MDM platform in between the user and the data synchronizer, whether it's in the cloud, like this picture shows you, or it's sitting behind your firewall. There's no really way around it. If you want, the enforcement, if you want the security, if you want the manageability, it's going to have to get in between the device and the data synchronizer, and that gives you control. In this diagram here, you will see that all of the control of the devices now come from the MDM platform. You would not, even if you wanted to do a wipe or set an inactivity timeout or anything, it would be done through the MDM management console. And then the end users, then would have access to the self-service portal should you decide to offer it to them. So now I'm going to show you some screenshots of what we have in the product. This is our activity monitor. It's a 6-panel display. We have 8 different items that you can display right now. This is an area where we're reaching out to our customers and saying, hey, what else would you like to see displayed in these panels? What will happen is that most of the information that we want to display is in the database. It's just trying to figure out what you want to display. So we're very open to suggestions. We're hoping to, get 20, 30 different picks in there. So you could say, I'd like to see, this type of graph of these elements versus this type of chart, stuff like that. This is also where you will see alerts come up. Looking at the product for the list of users, so this would be one view here where you get this, we call it the smart devices and user view. You can see that this particular person is highlighted. If you look to the right there, you'll see that there's a little bit of functionality there. You could disable a device, clear a device. So what happens, you highlight an individual, panel comes up on the right, so for some quick action. And we're going to, as we go through the next couple of slides, you're going to see all of the information that we're starting to capture and that we display on an individual. It's quite intense. On this slide, these are the 24 elements that we capture on a device. By having that thin client on the devices, we're able to get information like phone number, device type, model, OS version, how much memory, device IMEI, the size of the SD card, how much is being used. All of this type of information is captured at an interval rate. You set that interval rate. I'll show you a screen here in a few minutes of what that looks like. From a display standpoint, you can check the boxes and that the information will get displayed in the column. So that screen, those columns will scroll, left and right. So you can either see all of that information every time you go into the screen, or you can just see the elements that you want to see on a quick view. But again, there's quite a bit of data that's captured. Provisioning users, a couple of ways to do it. You can do it manually. You can do it in a batch file, or you can do it using eDirectory. You can go out to the directory, pick the users you want to provision, and then we'll extract information out of the eDirectory. It makes it very simple. Now we're going to look, once we get into the individual user, we have a variety of information about that user. Here's a sample of just basic user information. The next slide gets into more detail. Now you can see that users, you've got a graphical interface here where you can see the battery, the device memory, the SD card, signal strength. Again, these are tools for your support group. These are tools and information for supporting those massive number of users out there, or even a small amount of users. It's nice to have this information on hand. Location, kind of a controversial issue of being able to track the device or find a device. Depending upon what the capture rate of the information is off the device, you can actually see where that device has been all day long. You can also use this, if you don't want to use it for that, you could use it as a kind of a find me. Where I can't find my device, where could it be? Another element is our ability to capture phone log, SMS messages, and MMS messages. Now, we can do this on the BlackBerry, on the Android, Windows Mobile platforms, but we cannot do it on the iOS devices yet. Apple has not given us the hooks for that yet, but as soon as they do, we'll be able to do it. So if you have a compliance issue and you're worried that you've been holding off putting Androids out there, this will be a way around it. This definitely will meet any compliance requirements you have of tracking a phone log or SMS and MMS. Let's see here. Policy creating. We have for small customers, small end users in the SMB, for those that may not be versed on understanding policies, we have a very simple way for a policy suite to be created. Hold on, I'll go back to this. What we do here is we use a slider. The slider will create 4 levels of policies from kind of very light to very heavy. You'll notice that we differentiate between corporate devices and personal. In our policy suites, we have basically 2 columns. You'll set those items for corporate devices, and you can use the same settings for personal, but we do differentiate it. When a user registers their device, they register it as a corporate-owned device or as a personal device. Okay, now the defaults for these policies are listed in our documentation, and what's nice is you create the policy in a matter of seconds and then go edit it, and we'll show you what the editing would look like. So the next couple of slides are going to drill down into a policy. Here's some items on application control. So if you look on the left there, you'll see we have elements in a policy. You can have one or more policies. You can have the whole company on one policy, or you can group the company into a series of policies. We have application control, archiving, device control, security settings, S-MIME, and iOSs. Now, you'll notice here there's a special area for iOS, and that's because Apple has given us a set of functionality that's over and above what we could do with some of the other devices. In our next release, you're going to see another element in there called Touchdown. Okay, and with Touchdown, we're going to be able to do some specific stuff that Touchdown has opened up into. Now, you can see that gets a little tedious. Our challenge is to keep all these manufacturers from coming up with their own proprietary elements to set. So right now, we're going to have iOS, and we're going to have Touchdown for Android. So keep on the lookout for that. So here's the archiving. On this one, for example, record files on device, record phone log, text messages, media, that's MMS, and location. So, for example, you could turn location on for the corporate-owned device or location off for a personal device. You can see how we do the columns here. So once the device is registered, it will then be managed by the column that it fits in. Device control, here's where you start getting into more granular control of the device, you know, where possible. Now, can we do this granular control on every device? No. We have a document that basically shows the feature and the platform and whether we can do it or not, and that is available. We give that out to anyone inquiring about the product. It is a little bit of a Swiss cheese because not all of the platform manufacturers support all the features, so it makes it difficult for us as a management provider. Security settings, I think we really, a lot of the platforms do support a fairly robust level of password control. You can get a taste for the level that you can control these devices. What's nice about it is that regardless of the level of the data synchronizer, with our MDM package, you can lock these devices down, you can secure them at the level that they can handle, which is really great because you'll get your active sync email and PIM through the data synchronizer, and then we can really add that extra level of security, lockdown, control with the management platform. The next slide gets into Encryption Duress. This is your inactivity. Again, you can set these the same or differently, whether it's corporate or personal. Emergency calls, when you do a lock on the screen, you have to allow for emergency calls. This sets that up. And here are the extra features for iOS devices. What's interesting is you can get down to the screen. You could see that we could turn off iTunes. We could turn off the Safari browser. I mean, depending upon, you know, who's using the device, how you want them to use them, you can get pretty specific on limiting their functionality. This screen, basically, we call this our sync schedule, but this is the schedule. This is how you set the data capture interval from the device to the MDM platform. You can have one sync schedule for everybody, or you can have one per policy, so that you can have a certain group of people, their information is synchronized quicker than others, depending upon whether they need it or not. It's totally up to the organization. We've made it as simple as having one for the whole organization or having multiple ones. The help, this is the self-service admin portal. Today, when that portal is opened up, users will be able to lock their device, wipe their device, locate their device, get recovery password, clear the device, clear storage. You can see that this is an initial set of functionality. This really allows us a platform to add a lot of, self-user features on the product that will help offload your tech support group or your IT or customer support organization. Let me take a couple of minutes on Notify Sync. Notify Sync is a client for the BlackBerry. It provides active sync capability up to version 12.1. It doesn't require a BES. It could save you money on data plans because it only uses the BIS data plan. It can use BES, but I don't see the economics in there. Very feature-rich product. I suggest any of you that are interested, free trial, free evaluation for it. Same thing about the Notify On Demand, the free trial. It doesn't require any middleware. It is purely an active sync client for the BlackBerry, and it works very nice. I've used it. Bryce has even used it, and I think it simplifies your life a bit. And my last slide is that anybody that's interested in trying this stuff out, just get a hold of us at sales@notifycorp.com, and give us your feedback on how you like the product. And Q, I'll be happy to take any questions from the audience.
All right, let's see if there's been any that have come through here. Looks like we got a few. Okay.
Got everybody happy today, huh?
Yeah, looks like it. Let's see. Just getting through a few of these here. It looks like we must have answered everyone's question. I don't see any right now. If anyone has any questions, oh, here we go. Someone says, I came in late. Does this product work with Groupwise Mobility Server? Okay. That's a pretty, that's a good one.
It only works with it. It's exactly, you must have the data synchronizer in order to take advantage of this, because we assume that we're working with an active sync environment.
Great. Let's see here. Okay. And then it says, since this uses the BIS plan, what type of support is available for connection issues?
Say that again.
It says, since this uses the BIS plan, what type of support is available for connection issues?
Oh, we support the product. We've got probably 25,000 users worldwide on this product. We do the full support. They just call our support team. It's actually fairly painless to install. I would say that might be the greatest challenge. What we found with the product is once the user's up and running, it gives them, that pretty much low maintenance, active sync type experience. It just keeps working. It's a very solid and reliable product.
Great. And then the next one is the pricing per user, and then what are the hardware requirements?
On on our MDM product, let's see, on the server requirements, I will have to get you the link to that. Off the top of my head, our typical server requirements are a typical one-use server with single or dual processor, 4 gig of RAM, 2 or 3 73 or 144 gig drives, pretty much your standard server. And then depending upon how you want to implement it, you put a piece in the DMZ, a piece behind the firewall. But I think if you're a small user and you don't have a couple of hundred users, you really want to take a look at our hosted offering. I think it's incredibly inexpensive, and will kind of get you out of having to deal with putting up a server and all of that for a small number of users. If that individual wants to just send me an email at pdepond@notifycorp.com, I'll get you a link to our documentation.
All right. Let's see, I think that's everything we have right now on the questions. If there's any other questions, feel free to put those through. If not, I think we'll be able to finish up here.
You bet. Yeah, we got done a little bit early. We could speak forever on this product. There's a lot to it, but I think the best thing is for the people that are interested in it to try it out, especially the on-demand. It's very easy to get set up and test a few devices out, get a feel for it before you determine whether you want to stay with that or make a commitment to an on-premise, the on-premise version.
Wonderful. Okay. Oh, and then, we did have one other question come through. Do ports have to be opened on the firewall?
We'll give you the, do ports have to be open? If you're depending upon whether you're doing on-premise or on-demand, it'll vary. You have to realize your active sync port, actually our MDM, so here's what happens. The devices, instead of connecting to the data sync, connect to MDM, and our MDM product talks to the data synchronizer. Think of our MDM product as a combination of features in it. One of them is an active sync gateway. So it looks like the active sync server to the device, and then to the data synchronizer, it looks like another active sync server. And so we get in the middle of that. So if the user is not doing, if the user is following, policies, not jailbreaking a device, we let the end user flow right through the product straight into their Groupwise email. If they do something to break that connection, like jailbreak their device or don't accept the policy and all that, then we can stop them from communicating through. So it does give that control to the administrator. I mean, you can, be very strict or very lenient depending upon, again, what your policies are for